Hi, it's kind of hard to follow that. But my name is Petr CIKHART, and I'm a cinematographer. I've been living I come from Prague. I moved to New York in 1995, and I've been living in Los Angeles since 2010. And since I'm a cinematographer, I figured you should see some of my cinematography. So we're going to play my reel, which is 2.5 minutes, which will give me less time to talk. Okay, so we'll talk instead of watching. So this, sorry, we did this literally in the car driving from Boston today, and Susanna asked me, "Can you do something from the '90s, from when you were in New York?" And this is as I came to New York with $60 in a backpack. I knew one person, and a couple years later, I was working kind of as an assistant of everything in production, and I met some wonderful people like Yoko Ono, and I worked mainly on documentaries at that time, which kind of translated into starting to travel the world. I worked on a TV show called Be the Creature with a couple of brothers named the Crad Brothers, who have really big shows on PBS for kids. The one that they do now and I do with them is called Wild Kratts. So if you have kids, maybe you know it. And those experiences and the traveling around Africa, mostly in Africa with animals, kind of brought me to a TV show called Amazing Race, which I still do till today. I've done 30 seasons of Amazing Race, and that's me in Japan with the camera on the Amazing Race mat. I won the Prime Time Emmy for this show, for my work on this show in 2007. And one of my colleagues from the show is actually sitting in the audience. And it was all great. And I thought, oh, my first nomination, I will win now every year. And that's not the case. I've been nominated 11 times, and only the first time I won, and never since. That was kind of it. So through documentaries, traveling around the world, this is on a shoot in New Zealand with Peter Jackson, the director of Lord of the Rings, and King Kong and things like that. I kind of started to think, oh, maybe I want to do movies. And then I kind of went on to talk to people about making movies, and they said, no, you don't know anything about movies, you cannot do movies. And I was like, well, but I do documentaries, why not do movies? And it kind of ran into a wall. And on a whim, I applied to a school called American Film Institute in Los Angeles, and then I got accepted. And I was like, oh my God, what do I do now? And it was kind of a very hard decision. I worked really hard for 15 years in New York. Kind of started with nothing and then sort of built a bit of a reputation and clients, and I had a really nice apartment in East Village, and then I had to sort of drop everything and go to school in Los Angeles that I didn't particularly like at that time, and kind of start from scratch. But the school was a really amazing experience. I had such pleasure to be taught by amazing teachers, and also be surrounded by this wonderful creative force of filmmakers from all over the world. And it resulted in more travel, but also making now 12 feature films in 4 different continents. And I just finished one in Spain last week, I think it was, yeah, before Boston. This is actually a shot from Lanzarote. We were shooting for a month. It was kind of a satirical comedy about life. And it was... and we had some time to have fun. And I think what really inspires me to sort of keep doing what I do is this privilege that I realize we have as filmmakers and storytellers, that sort of people, whether it's in fiction or in documentaries, sort of people open up their lives and their homes to these people with cameras, and we are so privileged to experience those moments or those emotions or those homes, and or those countries or whatever the place might be. And I think that's kind of when why I started to do this when I was a 19-year-old kid back in Prague, and I thought, what could I do that would always be different? And my first job in America, actually before New York, was a lobsterman in Maine. And I thought, like, well, if I wanted to make a movie about lobstermen, I would have a pretty good idea about how to do it after being on a lobster boat for 6 months. But then I thought, but I can't really just like have a different job every 3 or 4 months. How about a job that always is like different, and you have these experiences, and then you say, okay, that was it. I've just crossed the, Russia. This was actually crossing Siberia on a job for National Geographic. This one is in Morocco, just this year. And I thought, how cool, like movies, every movie is about something else. So then you can have those experiences, but nobody looks bad at you because you've quit your job after a couple months, and you can move on and do the next job. This shot is from actually a really wonderful documentary I've been part of for the last 2 years about a group of 4 guys who have crossed the Pacific Ocean on a rowboat, ended up in Hanalei Bay in Hawaii. And one of them, they knew one of them had Parkinson's rowing, but when they arrived, actually they realized second one of them had Parkinson's, and they raised $43 million for the Michael J. Fox Foundation for Parkinson's research. This picture is from the DRC, Democratic Republic of Congo, documentary about the opposition candidate for the president of Congo, which was quite crazy, like the monkey. This is from Wildcat's shoot in Peru with, a colleague trying to carry my tripod for me. This is from a series in Mexico City about, it was kind of a fictional series based on some mass murders. White House a few years ago. We just kind of run these pictures. Am I out of time? Not yet. Yes, I am out of time. Sorry. This is from Uganda, from Amazing Race. But it's been really fun to be able to sort of live this dream for a kid who grew up in Prague thinking he will never be able to go anywhere except for Gera in East Germany, which is what it was.